All right, guys, make sure.
Okay, so we are live. All right, let me just bring back Rohan here. Okay, wonderful. All right, good night to. All right, so good night to everyone far and wide, those locally and those internationally. My Philippine family who are also tuning in, welcome one and all. Right? It is with great urgency that we reach out to the uttermost and the guttermost part of society to address the needs and the cry of our young people. So many are lost within the obscurity of society without a hope to find their way to the light. However, for this week's program, we will be having two amazing guests that will help to enlighten our darkness in order for us to have a chance to have a better future. But just before I introduce our guests, I just want to say big up to the youngest entrepreneur that was featured on our program for episode 1. Gentle people, go follow my brother on Instagram, SaucyFX. If you need graphic designs and help creating websites, right, building e-commerce stores, marketing and branding expertise, he is the one to link. Tonight we have Rohan Roberts and Shawn Stultz on the program. Welcome, gentlemen. I really appreciate you both for accepting this request to empower this program. Now, let me start off by introducing Rohan Roberts. Rohan is an educated entrepreneur in the agricultural sector. He contributes to the absolute needs of food security and sustainability. He uses trends and analysis to make decisions to develop his farm. As a result of his initiatives, Rohan is an advisor to the Ministry of Agriculture. His experience spans investments and agriculture for the past 10 years to present. Rohan, welcome once again. Now, my lovely viewers, I will be giving away $500 in credit to each individual who can answer questions during this forum. So, gentle people, please pay attention. Right? Hello, Maria Marcel. Thank you for tuning in. That is my Philippine friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm going to be giving away $500 in credit each, right, for each question that is answered correctly. Now, unfortunately, I could not get any Lime credits, so it will only be digital. I'm so sorry, my viewers. So if you have your digital phone, you are fortunate tonight. Now, let me start off by introducing, right? Because I just introduced Rohan. So let me now introduce Shawn Stultz. Shawn is currently a student at the UWI, which is the University of the West Indies. He is also a manager at his company that he works. So he works and studies. He has a bachelor's in law, which he attained at UTech. He is now pursuing his master's in government and comparative politics. He has also received his conditional acceptance at the Walden University due to his exceptional grades so far in his studies. He is a husband and father of one. He was a nominee for the Prime Minister Youth Award 2018. He is one of the Commonwealth Youth Ambassadors for Jamaica, and he is also a Justice of the Peace. Gentle people, welcome, welcome, welcome. I thank you, gentlemen, for taking the opportunity to tune into this program. When I just started the program, it was, I was thinking of, just doing forex traders because I am in the forex industry. But when I took a look on the surroundings and saw how society is being run, and I said to myself, no, there are also other opportunities out there, and if I could, get persons, just to speak in regards to how they can capitalize on other opportunities out there, we can definitely empower the nation. Now, Shawn, I just want to welcome you to the program, and I want to kick things off by interviewing you. Now, how did I meet you, Shawn? Viewers, I met Shawn when I was attending extra lessons for a particular subject. I won't mention the subject, right? But he taught me, and it was one of the best teaching experiences that I have ever had. He teaches with clarity and understanding, and just the way he articulates himself speaks volume. Welcome, Shawn Stultz. How are you feeling tonight, my brother?
Well, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just a little bit tired and exhausted. The heat in Kingston is in St. Catherine is right, but I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you so much, my brother. How is it there with the Sahara dust and all that chaos?
The
Is it
dust.
better now? How are things in your area with the dust and stuff? Is it better? Like, is it getting better?
Yeah, I think it's a thing of the past. So maybe last week
Okay.
or so, but we're good now. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Okay. Okay, wonderful, my bro. I just want to kick things off, Shawn, by just asking you just some few simple questions. Then I'll gradually build up. You know, the first question that I want to ask you, Shawn, is what was life like for you growing up? Right, as a young man, what was life like for you growing up?
All right, life for me was a bit moderate to begin with. Until I lost my mom in high school, it became a whole different scenario where I started to experience some real struggles, right, that I didn't experience in my entire life from before, right? So I guess after that phase of my life, things became extremely rough for me in terms of finances, survival, just the general motivation to move forward was a difficulty, in all honesty. But I'm happy for the experience.
Definitely, Shawn, and like many persons, I know that you in all of your glory today, when you reflect upon your past, I know that you have been through some trying times, because no one persons don't just get up and become successful. Persons don't just get up and and just become this all glorious, this thing that we so want to become in life. I just want to ask you, Shawn, what was life like at Manchester High School? Because you attended Manchester High School, right? And
Certainly.
I know you did well there. That's one thing I know you did well at Manchester High School. But what was it like for you at Manchester High School, Shawn?
All right, again, I'm going to answer the question in two parts. I think from first to third form for me, I was I was a little bit nonchalant because I had my mom around at that time. I took things for granted, right? And things wasn't so difficult for me along that line. But after she passed, things became extremely rough, as I stated before, right? In terms of survival, continuing in school, right? At some point in times, I felt depressed Like I couldn't move forward. I didn't have much encouragement around me outside of the school environment. So it was really a difficulty for me, right, in terms of staying focused, right? But I managed, right? And as a Christian, as a young Christian at the time, I hold firm to my faith in God. And I really came through, and I'm really happy to where I am today.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sean. I just want to ask you though, were there days when the lunch money wasn't enough? You go into school and you're striving for excellence, but at the same time, were there days when the lunch money was never enough?
You mean there were days when there were no lunch money?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. There were days when there was no lunch money. I had to hitch a drive on a taxi to school and back, right? Going back home, there was no food, nothing in the house, right? So, trust me, it was I experienced some really rough times in high school. Persons tend to ask me, how did you really withstand that? But trust me, it was really, 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 really difficult for me back then. After the death of my mom, right? And we struggled tremendously. Myself and my siblings, we struggled tremendously.
Sean, many persons, they have lost a loved one, and there is something there are two things that are common between um, both persons that are basically sitting on the panel tonight. Um, their first name and their last name begins with the same letter. So we have Shawn Stultz and we have Rohan Roberts. And the second commonality is that both persons on this panel, they have lost a loved one. And I just want to ask you, Sean, you know, um, what were some of the involvements that you had at Manchester High School, and also in the time that you lost your mom, how did that impact you as an individual and being involved at Manchester High School?
All right. Losing my mom, as I said, it was a really trying time for me. But one of the things that I did, I ensure I took part in many activities to keep me focused. So in high school, I was a part of a track and field team. I went to champs sometime. I didn't really come anything, but I went to champs. Right. I was a part of the debating team. That was my best area, debate. I was also a part of the drama club, 4-H. Right. I was involved in a lot of different stuff. Student council. At some point in time, I was a head prefect. Right.
Wow.
So I was quite involved. Right. And by being involved, it helped me to remain focused. Right. And drive toward the ultimate goal.
Wonderful, wonderful, Sean. Tell me something, Sean. While you were actually attending Manchester High School, though, were there times when you faced peer pressure to do things that were not in relation to your journey, right? In relation to what you are aiming for? Were there times when persons tried to influence you to go on the wrong path? And how did you stay on the right path?
Trust me, it's a good question. In fact, any young person go through peer pressure. But for me, the reason why my peer pressure was not so much difficult is because of the type of company that I kept in high school. Right, I more affiliate myself with purpose-driven persons who I realized they were heading somewhere. Right. On the other hand, we still had people who tried to drag me out. And I was coming from one of the worst class in first form. They branded it as the worst first form, which was 1-7. Right. So you have all of the smokers, right? And the scholars and all of these people who skull
Wow.
class, they were part of that group. So being in that class coming up from first form and trying to stay focused was also a challenge because we have all the negative influence, right? I think my class was the only class that almost every week we had parents teachers meeting, right?
Whoa.
For that specific class, the whole bad it was, right? But I really stayed focused because there was this one girl in the class who she was really driven, right? And she used to give me some amount of competition, and I used to love competition, right? So
Really?
I think I cling with her, right? So both of us in the class, sometimes she come first, I come second, and vice versa, and we fight it out like that. But I think that that's what kept me focused. That one positive influence that I could find. Right, there were others, but that was the one person I remained friends with, and that person pushed me to the limit.
Wow, Sean, and so a question: would you say then that competition, it can be good?
Certainly, it can be good because I think it releases another side of you that you maybe didn't know you have. Right, it bring out the best in you.
You want to go
Sometimes,
harder?
yeah, you want to go harder because sometimes when you're going at your own little random pace where nobody's competing with you, you think that you're doing the best. But when you find somebody who's doing greater than you, you realize, but oh, come on, there's much more in me to go. Right, so competition certainly is a good thing.
Thank you, Sean. What is the main thing that keep you that basically keep you going though, right? What is the main thing that even up till now, right? What is that one thing that right? This is why I am doing what I'm doing right now. What is keeping you going, Sean? What is allowing you to stay on the path that you are currently on?
All right, I know the answer to that already. Not wanting my mom to feel disappointed, right? So I'm basically living my life because of my mom who passed. I want to ensure that wherever she is extremely proud of me, and that's what is keeping me going.
Awesome, Sean. Awesome. Oh my. But let me go into that later down. Tell us a bit about your political involvement, Sean, and how did you actually get started?
All right, from an early age, I was a leader, right? I held many leadership positions from high school throughout university. I was the vice president for the Students' Union, law representative, etc. Right. So I really like leadership, right? That is something I really love, right? So it started from there, right? I think university, holding these leadership positions in university helped to hone my political career.
Wow,
But
wow.
I won't go much deeper in the politics, but I just leave it for persons to see. So somewhere
Yes,
down the line, you'll see.
I totally understand, Sean. How did you achieve such a title at such a young age? A Justice of the Peace. How did you actually attain this title? A JP. When I saw you being given the award, and just being recognized for being a JP, it really shook something in my brain. How did you go about doing this, and why? What is your purpose of being a JP?
All right. So having experiences with JPs at an early age coming up, I thought more like that JPs were it was basically for older people, all right? Because most JPs have gray hair, they can hardly walk, right? And there is nothing much they can really give to the community other than to sign a paper, right? Because
Yes.
physically they are not able to manage, right?
Yes.
And one thing I realized that communities they lack leadership, right? And I think the best persons to really demonstrate leadership are young people who are vibrant and they have energy and they have the positive mindset, right? That drive. I think we're the best persons to really and truly be leaders within our community. So from that time when I had my experiences with JPs, in some cases it wasn't so good because you'll be living in the community for years and this JP is going to tell you that, oh, I don't really know you, right? When you go to
Wow.
sign a paper. So you have to be all over the place. So I wanted to be that person who I interact as a young person. I am involved with persons. So I know them. They know me. So when they come to me, I don't tell them that I don't know you because I would have had some interaction along the line. Either it be by community initiatives, mentorship, whatever it is, right? So it gave me an opportunity to really lead and to represent, right? Peace within community. We know we have a lot of troubled homes, right? Domestic violence, you name it, right? I figured that I could be the one who helped to mentor some of these younger person my age, and by me being a JP at a young age, right, can actually be something that they want to emulate.
Awesome, awesome, Sean. I just want to ask. I just want to ask you. I see that you are currently doing your masters, right? And you're heading off to do your PhD shortly. How do you balance this with family life, and having a wife and a child? How do you balance? How do you strike the balance? How do you strike that balance, Sean?
All right, for everything that is important to you in life, you're going to make time for it. That's the first thing. Once it's important to you, you're going to make the time for it. Now, whatever I do is important to me. My family is important to me. My career is important to me. My job is important to me. Hence, I find the time for all three. No, there are 24 hours in a day, right? We don't sleep the entire 24 hours. We don't work the entire 24 hours either. We don't study the entire 24 hours. So it's all about proper time management, right? So that is something that I really possess. Very good time management that helps me to strike the balance between all of this, right? And the thing is this: you don't give more than the other, right? If you give more than your family, you will lose your family. If you give more than the job, you lose a job, right? So in order to keep everything intact,
Wow.
you have to give equal opportunity and equal time to everything.
Wow. Sean, I just want to ask you, even at this point in your life, you are, doing your studies, and you are achieving all these amazing goals. are, are there still points in your life where you become discouraged, even though you are doing so much, but are there still times when you get down in the midst of all these amazing achievements? Are there times when you still get down, and how do you deal with that, right? And the next question is, right, seeing that you're doing so much, has it ever, you know at one point in time, you know try to get to your head, like, have you ever felt like, you've made it, or you get that level of pride? Has that ever creeped up on you, right? And how do you deal with that?
All right, to begin with, my success is really and truly not for me, right? It is a norm for many persons to go through the different stages in university and get the different qualifications. Some persons use it for status. Some persons use it to enhance themselves in a job. But really, in all honesty, my reason for excelling is just to help people and to make a contribution, right? So all of this studying that I'm putting in is good for status, but I am not all about the status. I'm about contributing, helping people, right? And I think that when I get myself in a certain position, qualified in certain area, I can be in a better position to make a more meaningful contribution to the society. And yes, at times I might feel discouraged, right? When persons might ask, why are you going to school? Why are you doing all of these things? Right? You have a taxi man out there earning more than who have a master's or a PhD. Right? Honestly, yes, sometimes it's true, right? But at the end of the day, for me, it's not about educating myself for money or educating myself for fame. It's all about educating myself to make a contribution, to help somebody, help the less fortunate. This is how I am happy. This is what makes me happy, right? Not getting the degree and I can post up in front of everybody's face. That's not my aim. My happiness comes through helping people, being there, and it all stems from the struggles that I encounter. Because I encountered so much, I want to be the one who helps somebody else who is going through all of these things, for them to know that you can reach where I am, surpass me, and become even greater than I am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sean. Gentle people, those persons who are actually um, watching right now this program, there's just so much that we learned from Shawn just now, and things that we can apply to our lives on a day-to-day basis. And Shawn, I think that maybe one day you might end up becoming the next prime minister. Who knows? You know, but you are definitely on the right track, my brother, and I definitely look up to you. You are someone that I look up to and I respect. And you coming on this program right now and just sharing with the viewers. I am deeply in appreciation of it. So thank you so much, Shawn, for your portion. Right after this, gentle people, after the interviews, we are going to be going into some discussions with our panelists here. Now, I want to go into the interview with Rohan Roberts. Gentle folks, I hope that you are listening. Because when I ask the questions, right, remember that I will be giving away credit, right? So please listen, right? Because when I ask the questions, I hope you can answer these questions. Rohan, thank you so much for joining in. How are you, brother?
It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Awesome, my brother. Awesome. How did I meet Rohan? Well, I haven't met him as yet in person, but I met Rohan through my wife. She spoke greatly about him, right? Just how ambitious and trying you are, Rohan, right? And she said to me that you guys attended the same primary school together, and you were like the smartest one in the class. you know, I want to hear your take on that, but that's what she said to me. That you were the smartest one in the class. So I seeing your achievements right now. I think they were all expecting this. You know, so Rohan, I just want to start off with your segment. I just want to ask you the question, right? Um, where did you grow up, and what was life for you coming up as a young man?
As a young man,
Yes.
uh, well, I grew up in Manchester, Jamaica, in a rural town called Cristiano. Uh, as a growing up as a young man, I was just trying to be a teenager, just being influenced really by things that I was exposed to as a younger child, things that you were idolizing, people that you were idolizing, and just basically developing yourself and your personality into the person that you want to be. And sometimes thinking that this is probably who you want to be, but then you realize after you get that experience that this is not the person that I want to be. Uh,
Wow.
so for me, growing up, it was definitely uh, it was an experience. As with everyone else, I had a lot of autonomy in my life. I mean, I had role models. I had my parents there to guide me, but I never had anyone over me pressing on me, right? So I've never had that pressure to make certain decisions. All the decisions I had to make with my life were about what I wanted to do and what I was comfortable doing, and just adding value with whatever I decided to do and being happy. My mom always drove at that, and she still drives at that. Just make sure that you're happy doing what you're doing, and if you make a living doing it and you're happy doing it at the same time, it's a win-win. So growing up as a young man was definitely
I like that.
an experience, and I enjoyed growing up because I would call it 3 tiers of experience. As I said, I didn't have any pressure over me, so I was able to venture into a number of different aspects that I thought suited me, and eventually I found where I was most comfortable, and some people would even call it a calling. But growing up, I didn't see myself where I am today, and I just think a lot of people as children, they're forced to make a decision as to who they want to be from early, because based on making that decision now, that's where you're going to study, what you're going to be doing every day for the next probably 10 years of your life after leaving prep or primary school. It's just about becoming what you said you wanted to be as a child. I didn't have that pressure. At first I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. You know,
Wow.
I was watching I was watching TV, and you just idolize what a plastic surgeon looked like and the kind of lifestyle that they were having. And then you went into chemistry class and then you realize, well, this is not for me. I would rather be having lunch than being in chemistry class. So those, as I said, you idolize certain things and then you get to figure out that that's not really your calling. So, and then I moved from there. I wanted to. I'm in love with finance and investments. I am very interested in how people trade, and I think it's a big motivator for me as well to know that there are great opportunities out there if you seek them and you're willing to take advantage of them.
Thank you so much, Rohan. And you know, that is something that is very, very fundamental because based on my experience in society, right, at this moment in time, based on what I'm seeing a lot of pressure on um, children, right? That they should do this, they should do that. Their parents, they put pressure on them that they should do this, they should do that. And at the same time, what they're doing, not love what they're doing. And sometimes, when you go to see a doctor and or you might go to see a lawyer, right? And you may wonder why aren't they happy doing their job, or why aren't they doing this like it's what they really want, and you basically did opposite. You did what you wanted to do and you did what you love, so you did not actually take up the traditional route, right, by just sticking to one thing, right, but you went ahead and did something totally different, right? As you can actually see on the screen right now, you are seeing Rohan's farm, right? And the name of his farm is name of his company, I think, Rohan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Tiverton 876 Farm. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's actually Tiverton Farm, but for the Instagram handle, just to identify it with the Jamaica,
Yes,
I'd put that 876 there.
Tiverton. And one thing that I remembered just the other day, you received an award in the is it the Gleaner or the Observer? Sorry, not an award, but you were speaking about the drought. Is that correct? You were talking about the
Yeah, the experience that we had this year concerning the drought and how it's gonna affect farmers presently and the future of farming for them and myself.
okay. Rohan, I just want to ask you, what school did you actually attend?
Okay, I went to UTech for what you call tertiary level. My high school was the Carteret College, and yeah, so I went to secondary school in Carteret College and tertiary for UTech, and I've done other courses beyond that. I've been to Ebony Park School. I've been to other trainings for farming and machinery to operate machinery and securities dealers course and a number of other things. That just like Shawn, I like to learn new things. I like to keep my brain active. I don't like to to be focused on just one thing. I think if you have experience in a number of different avenues, it allows you to analyze things and look at things a little bit differently and approach things a little bit better. And in life, I really think all I want to do in life is to have an edge.
An edge.
I want to have an edge.
I like that. Rohan, how did you actually end up in farming though?
Oh, well, I'm actually a fourth generation farmer, but we actually only go back as far as three generations, right? So my family has always been into farming. How I got into as a young man, as a little boy, I wasn't very interested in farming. As I said, I was glued to a TV screen. Like man, sit down and I watch Sweet 16, like MTV Cribs, and like, your, your culture just get a different shock when you watch them thing there. You understand? And then you never wanted to do certain things because you see yourself as a pretty boy. Them time they may listen to all B2K, you know them on there, Omar, and you listen to Usher and
Yeah, man.
but when you actually come down to your culture, your everyday life as a Jamaican, that not really go where me want it to go for me still. So in paying attention to all of that, going into farming was by fluke. I had a situation where I had borrowed my father's car and I met into a minor accident, and the independent person inside of me wanted to still say to my father I was wrong and I will fix my problems, because as a child I was always taught to take responsibility for my actions, good or bad. So you had to from an early start I had to man up to anything that I was doing, and I had to own what I was doing. And as I said, I had a minor accident. I wanted to repair the car. I was in college at the time. I should have mentioned I went to Knox Community College as well
Oh,
before I
wow.
left. Yeah. So while I was in Knox, I had that flu, and
Wow.
from there, I didn't have enough money to repair the car personally, and I just it was a big eye opener, because as I said, you're paying attention to what's out there. You want to be driving a nice car, you want to be dating
Wow.
a nice girl, you know, college life, right? And then
Yes.
when you meet into the accident, somebody else have to fix your problem. And I was brought up that way. So I spoke to my father about it and I told him that I wanted to repair it. And he said to me, so how you plan on doing that? And I'm like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix it. And he says, you're going to school, so how you going to do that? And I said, well, you can teach me how to do some farming. And I said, all right, let's see if you can. So you're not going to stick with it though, but let's see. And he brought me to a plot, and he basically brought me to a plot that was demotivating because it was all bushed up. There was no soil there. It was all grass and trees. And he said, well, you can start there, and just remembering that now it's like that in itself was a true test of if I really wanted to do what I said I wanted to do.
Yes.
And then from there, I had to then move on to preparing the land. Then from preparing the land, I had to source the most economical thing to plant, because as I said, I didn't have any resources and I wasn't looking for a handout,
Mhm.
right? So I got into it. I started to learn certain things.
You know, many persons who are actually watching this program right now, for the persons who are actually watching this program right now, I just want to say to you that if you're a young person, and you are trying to live a life, right, that is beyond your affordability, or you want to live above your means, right? You need to think twice, because just as what Rohan said, it was like someone had to pay for the expense at the time. And you know many of our young persons out there, you want to drive a nice car, you want to live the fancy life and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's your mom's car, it's your dad's car, and really and truly, at the end of the day, when it comes on to the responsibility, it's not worth it. So try to take on that level of responsibility. If you want to do these things, try to do something that will propel you to be able to actually do or live the life that you want to live. Thank you so much, Rohan. And Rohan, you also lost your dad. What was that experience for you at the time when you lost your dad?
I lost my, I lost, I lost somebody that I really, really loved, and it's like when you're actually in the moment of knowing that you just lost that person, you would be willing to give up or do anything to have that person around, just to say everything that you'd ever want to say in one moment, and you'll never get that again. So that was a hard part. And then after that, you start to realize that you've never grown a pussycat, you understand? So you have to understand, say, it's a part of life, and whatever you've learned and the memories that you have, carry that with you and you push through every day. Something you'll have moments when you go down, and then you have moments when you remember the laughs, and you just have to put yourself in a position where everything overpowers the sad moments. But the sad moments make you way stronger than the happy moments, for sure.
Wow. And for those persons out there, you have lost someone that you loved. It is definitely, something that is not a nice experience, but there are ways in which we can actually cope, and if you try to see beyond, you know that hurt, you can actually use that hurt, that pain, to actually fuel your success, and to fuel your journey ahead. Just as Shawn said, he lost his mom, and that's what is fueling him. So it speaks volume, and it's the same thing with Rohan. You know, Rohan, I just want to ask you, right? I've seen where you were featured in the Gleaner, or the Observer, and this speaks volume of your work. I've seen you utilizing modern technology to make your farming really professional and on a larger scale. Could you tell us a bit about your agricultural business and any other investments that you're also involved in?
Sure. Uh, in agriculture, it's definitely a lucrative business if you understand what you're doing, as with any business, right? Uh, to get really proficient at agriculture, you have to take action. It's not just theory. So even if you go and study agriculture, you're not going to excel just like that. So it's application and learning what works in your environment. So what works in one part of the country or in one part of the world won't necessarily work in another part, right? So not all crops grow here, and not all crops are economical to grow here. So if you're looking at farming as a business, you have to understand the economics of business and by extension agriculture. For me, why I got into why I remained in agriculture is that there's always a demand for food, right? And if you are paying attention to what's happening with food, and a lot of people aren't, is that most of what people are eating now is processed and not directly from a farm. The reason for that is that farming is very expensive and it's also very perishable, and it's very costly to store it if you don't have the proper mechanisms to store it. And the population continues to increase, and agricultural production is somewhat decreasing. So if you're doing an equation of that to understand that population is increasing and food supply is decreasing, starvation is definitely a possibility.
Yes.
I don't even want to be hungry, much less even think about starving. My main my main initiative is primarily to be able to survive and self-sustain myself, and any excess from there and go into an economical business. And that's my approach. And food security is very important. I want to ensure that just as how my father ensured that I had proper nutrition, my family ensured that I had proper nutrition. Generations thereafter, I want to make sure that they have proper nutrition and to eat healthy so they can live healthy. A lot of people are eating and they're getting sick. A lot of people are sick and they don't even know that they're sick. And they still continue to eat the same things because they don't know. And you get to realize that because people are so focused or so immersed into wanting material things that they forget to feed themselves, you know.
Yes.
Not a person who put gas in their car before they buy lunch. That's something that you need to look at. And I'm nobody to tell anybody what to do or how to live their life. I'm just saying I'd walk before I feel a vehicle and not have food. That's my approach. And
Right. Wow. That's something that I will definitely go into as well in regards to our discussions. Um, Rohan, how did you end up being involved with the Ministry of Agriculture?
if you pay attention to the government policy on food, especially to decrease imports or to subsidize imports, is basically to do local production. And in going into local production, you need to have a production plan and something that's understandable and something that is scalable and easily transferable, right? If you pay attention to potatoes in Jamaica, we eat a lot of potatoes in Jamaica and we eat a lot of fries in Jamaica. So you can imagine if we weren't producing any, how much potatoes we would be importing. And that has ripple effects, even affecting the foreign exchange and affecting GDP. It goes a far away, right? And a lot of people don't even know. So why the ministry would have a relationship with me, or why we have a relationship together, is that if you pay attention to our farmers' population and their age group, is that farmers within the next 20 to 25 years will be close to non-existent, especially in Jamaica, because
Wow.
it's actually a sector that is not it's not attractive, right? And that's simply why people are not in it,
We're
because
gonna discuss that.
you go out there and you get dirty. I mean, I like being dirty because I know I'm doing it for a reason, right? Um, so the ministry, we wanted to make sure that, as I said, production was understandable, scalable, and transferable. And that's how we got into a relationship. And it's a never ending cycle to increase productivity, to be more efficient, and also to be economical, to get the best yields at the best cost. So that's why I've gone into getting all of what you've seen where you say technology and all of that is to really boost efficiency and to become economical in production.
Awesome, awesome. Rohan, tell me something. What are some of the equipments that you are currently using on your farm? What are some of the modern technology that you are currently utilizing?
Well, we're using we're using machines for planting. We've always used machines from I've been around to plow lands and to prepare the land, but I don't see a lot of farmers use machines to help them to plant and help them to reap. And if you, a lot of farmers are not precision oriented because they have, I don't want to say that they don't understand, but they are not precise about what they're doing because of education, right? And because you don't understand what you're doing or how much you should be using or how little you are using, you're not getting the best economics. So for me, I employ simple things, a calculator, a measuring beaker is goes a far way in cutting your costs, right? I mean, using a gallon bucket over a 5 gallon bucket is is way more important than you would even realize. So for precision, right? And as I said, you're just getting off all the way down to economics. Um, we use drip systems. We use automated sprinkler systems. What you need, a lot of people need to. What we take for granted in Jamaica, as I said, is not taken for granted in another country because we have excellent water in Jamaica. You know what I mean? If people really, went out there and researched how precious water is, you probably wouldn't take it for granted when you're in the shower. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. So there are some things that in Jamaica, because we have such a large supply of certain things, it's overlooked. It's even somewhat ignored, and those things that are bountiful is what we should be looking at to become proficient at. We should, well, we're the land of wood and water. I don't know a course personally that I could go to learn about water supply and water quality or to even make energy from water.
Yes.
And it's like just because of where I'm at now and looking back at certain things, we need to, as a people, start to develop things that are in our best interest. So if you have a child or you have school, I mean, yes, you have your curriculum, but you need to be teaching them some things that can help them to develop a better way of life, raise their standard of living. And a lot of people associate having a better standard of living by having more money. And that is not a better standard of living. Having more money does not ensure that you have a better standard of living. I mean, because you have more money, you're going to buy more plastic bottles of water, and then you're going to destroy the environment, and you're not even aware that you're doing it because we don't even sort garbage. And it's not that I'm saying these things to make things look bad. I am saying them for us to look at them and fix them, right? A lot of people, do you even know what quality your water is from your tap?
um, that's something that I've heard about persons testing the quality of the water. How important is that, Rohan?
Would you go into a pool and gulp the water?
I would not drink that water.
You will not drink that water. Well, in some countries, that is very close to what comes through their tap. And I'm sure you can in Jamaica, in any part of Jamaica, put your glass underneath that tap and get a glass of water. You might not like it, it might not taste good, but it's not bad quality water, I'm telling you. So,
So you're saying that we actually have better quality water than most countries?
yeah, definitely. Definitely, bro. Definitely. I mean,
Wow,
that's a simple thing
that would
of
take it for granted.
standard of living, you know what I mean? Just knowing that you get good water. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But as I said to you, is when you pay attention to certain things, you get to realize that these things are really important. And then when you start to have a conversation about it, you realize that there's a lot of ignorance about it or for it.
Wow.
So water quality, and then if you notice what's happening, you read the article, we're experiencing a drought. Well, we
Yes.
experienced a drought earlier, and farmers in this country farm on a seasonal cycle. So what a seasonal cycle is a specific time of year that specific crops are most feasible. And when you have that season, majority of the farmers who understand how to produce that crop going to produce. And then when they experience a drought and they're completely wiped out and it's a loss for them, we don't have mechanisms in place to ensure agriculture. We don't have mechanisms in place to ensure that a farmer can bounce back, right? So you're not going to really realize the effects of those losses immediately because, as I said, some of them can be imported. But when you
Yes.
start to import them, it has a ripple effect down the road.
Wow. Um, Rohan, you're sharing some very important points here. And when we reach the discussion section, I'm going to ask you some questions, right? I just want to ask you these questions though. What advice would you give to our young people in regards to farming? And how would you advise it, right? And seeing the way persons perceive farming, you know, getting dirty. What is your advice on that? What is your advice?
It's so wide. I mean, I would tell you to look at farming as a stage in a cycle. So you could look at what farmers need, and you could find some economics there. You could look at improving some of what the farmers are using. There's some economics there. You could look at what's being imported and start to produce some of that. You could look at adding value to what some of the farmers are doing. I mean, a lot of people eat potato fries, and that's Irish potato fries. We have sweet potato in Jamaica. You have cassava. We have dasheen. We have yam. I'm not saying you're going to necessarily make a fry or a chip, but there can be something that you can produce that can become economics. And some of the the products that farmers use, you can go into those economics and look at it from that perspective. I wouldn't say to you just to come into farming, you know what I mean? I wouldn't tell you to just go and clear land and farm, and then when you farm and you have all of this food, you don't even have a vehicle that can bring it somewhere, you know, because you don't have the proper, you probably don't have the proper road network to get that food out. And it's something that you have to be meticulous about. It's something that you have to pay attention to. It's something that you have to care for, right? And I can tell you, a lot of people are farming, but not a lot of people are farmers. And I learned that the hard way, right? So
We are definitely going to talk about that, Rohan. Um, are there any opportunities out there though, for our youngsters to get involved in regards, like,
yeah,
are there any opportunities?
yes, there are opportunities for sure. I mean, just paying attention to what what our population consumes, also paying attention to what we have a huge tourism industry, and you can also pay attention to export potential. So I'm not going to directly point a finger and say, go and do this. I mean, you want to come check me differently and we talk about some economics, okay, but I'm not going to just poof and put it out there. Nah, just use your head. Use your head.
Use your head.
Use your head.
All right. Thank you so much, Rohan. Viewers and listeners, you have heard from these two ambitious, you know, steady-headed young men. I just want to ask you both though. Shawn, what is your age?
31. I'm
Thir-
31.
31. And Rohan,
Yeah.
you are how old?
I'm 28.
You are 28, right? So, viewers and listeners, these persons are still young, but the ambition, the drive to succeed is within their brains, and they will never stop. Now, what we're going to do now is that we are going to hold on. Let me just shout out some persons here in the comment section. Guards TV. I see you there. Those persons are from the Philippines. Shout out Team Happy. Thank you guys for tuning in. Maria Marcel, see Slick Nick. Um, all right. So all my Philippine persons are here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Right. So what we're going to be doing now, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are going to be going into a segment. We are going to be giving away $500 in credit. So I'm gonna be asking, right? I'm gonna be asking a question, and I hope that the audience, right, you can figure out the answer to these questions. Now, The first question is the first question is about Shawn Stultz. Who can tell me where he is going to be pursuing his PhD? Which university did he receive his conditional acceptance from? The first person to answer this question will receive $500 in digital credit. So, my lovely people in the comment section, my lovely people in the comment section, what is the answer? All right, so Slick Nick is saying you tech. No, that's incorrect. That is incorrect. All right, so Caroline Thompson is saying Yui. That is incorrect. All right. All right, the next question is what is the, in the meantime, the next question is what is the name of Rohan's farm? I think that one is pretty easy. Everyone can get that one. Well, let me see who can comment that first. What is the name of Rohan's farm? Tiverton Farm. Wow, we have a winner in the house. And that came from Karel Ellington. Karel, I need you to type your Tiverton 876. Rohan, she wants to be more precise. All right, Tiverton Farm, right? Karel, could you post your, well, if you're not comfortable posting your contact details right here, you could DM me on Instagram and I could just send across your $500 worth of digital credit. Okay? Now, what about a question for Shawn? Is that question too hard? Do you want me to give a different question? Okay, let me give a different question for Shawn, okay? Shawn is currently pursuing his master's. What is the school that he is attending? And what is he doing? What is he doing his master's in? Okay, Maria, she says Manchester. Oh, hold on. Everton Walters. Walden University for Shawn School. All right. All right. Okay. Very good. Very good, Everton. You answered that question correctly. So you have won that $500 in call credit. You have won that $500 in call credit, Everton. Everton, if you wish, you could DM me on Instagram. That's DrFXJA. or you could Maria. Oh my, Maria, Maria, that answer was incorrect. It's actually Walden University, right? That is actually the correct answer. So Everton, you could either drop your number right here, or you could just DM me on Instagram, and I could send across your $500 in credit. Okay. Now, politics. All right. All right. So we have basically answered two questions, right, so far, right? And now we're going to go into a discussion, ladies and gentlemen, right? And of course, we're going to be giving away credit again. So y'all need to pay attention. Y'all need to listen to what is going on. Okay. All right. So with our discussion, things might get a bit controversial, but it is definitely for our learning, right? And I think it is something that we need. Okay. Rohan, let us talk. So traditionally, most Jamaicans. Okay, hold on. I think we're having some feedback here, Rohan. Is whenever you're off the mute. So I'm gonna ask a question and then you release your mute, okay? All right. Now, traditionally, most Jamaicans do not view agriculture as a formidable career path for their children. Is this an accurate view? And why do you think most persons look down on farming?
Okay, I think a lot of people look down on farming because of ignorance and they're more concerned with image. And I mean, a lot of people don't want to be seen dirty. A lot of people don't want to be dirty. And a lot of people think all farming is dirty. I mean, you have greenhouse farming, you have hydroponic farming, you have aquaponic farming, you have deep water culture. There's virtually no dirt involved. I mean, I think a lot of people also want their children to be what you call white collar jobs, and because that's how success is portrayed. I mean, that's just the culture. I mean, I think that's the number one thing that probably needs to change is that farmers need to come out and show that they are people too. And I don't think a lot of farmers come out of the bush. So, so that's definitely something that people need to look into. And I mean, what? How would you quantify that a child should become a doctor? Because they see doctors driving around in a nice car, they see doctors having a nice bike, doctors have a nice home. It's all our culture and it's all about the image that they are seeing. It looks attractive. Farming farming isn't very attractive unless you understand it.
Yes, you understand it. Very good, very good, very good, Rohan. Thank you so much for that input. Now, Shawn. All right. Now, I have a question for you, my brother. Right. Um, Seeing that you are more, you're more aware in the political space, right? Young people they have lost interest in both of the political parties in Jamaica, and also in exercising their democratic right to vote. Are young people doing this to their own detriment? And why do you think there is a voters' apathy in regards to this? Why do you think that there is a loss of interest in voting and so forth in regards to the political side of things?
All right. So the difference is before, right, our traditional way of politics is slowly fading out. And I guess the reason why it's fading out is because of no more public campaign, more education, right, as to the political structure of Jamaica, right? So it's not like before when your grandparents would vote because they want flour, or they can get chickens, or they can get some benefit, right? They will vote. Now, our younger generation, they are now realizing that we are now engaged in a different form of politics, right? Because of education, of course, that keeps us aware, right, about our political leaders. Now, in order to attract this generation, right, more likely, I think what they're really looking on is the type of leadership that is displayed. Right now, Jamaican political landscape is marred in corruption, and that is certainly not good. Right, because no one wants to know. Even Rohan, I don't think Rohan would want to know that he has his farm and know he's paying his taxes and so on. But at the end of the day, a politician is using his tax hard earned taxpayers' money to buy a cake for 130,000. Okay, right? Knowing how hard he has to work on his farm, right? So I realize that Jamaica, based on our culture now, we are seeing that we are persons that are working extremely hard, right? Sometimes when they get that paycheck and you look on the amount of money that is withdrawn in taxes and so on, and to see the politicians squandering those money, I think persons are becoming more serious in relation to the type of leadership that we need to see in Jamaica, right? So what obtains back then is certainly not what obtains now, because persons are more conscious as to the type of Jamaica they want to see, and they're more serious in taking an approach that the best is what we want, and in order to get the best, we're going to vote for the best, right? So there is where it's at now, and public campaign again is getting persons more involved in the process, but then there wasn't much uh, uh, campaigns and so on to keep persons aware of our systems and our developments. But now everybody's on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And I think now politics have now been drawn to the media, right? So a lot of persons are now aware, right? So they can vote accordingly. So it's no more die-heartedness and generational politics where my mother was PNP, so I am PNP, right? Or because you're living in my house and I say PNP, you say PNP, right? Jamaica is slowly moving away from those form of politics, right? And because why they used to do that is because of lack of education, as I said before, and
Ignorance.
ignorance and so on, right? And the free mentality where if a politician can come and give me couple chickens and so on, I'll vote for them. But our generation is looking on the long term, not the short term. Not eating today and hungry tomorrow. Right? So we're
Whoa.
slowly moving away from that sort of mentality. And I think if we have politicians now displaying the same quality that we are trying to move away from, this is where a person will lack the interest in voting, because nobody wants to have a repetition of the past, right? And that's why we are slowly moving away from that sort of behavior, right? But currently, we realize that we still have some politicians who have been demonstrating the same attitude and approach towards politics, and quite frankly, persons are losing interest as a result of that, because we are really and truly don't want to go back to our grandmother's day and age of politics. We're slowly moving away from that.
Oh my gosh. And back then when persons were all about the die heartedness, if I am a JLP, my son, he is a JLP too. If I'm a PFP, he's a
Yeah.
PFP too. I believe that it is changing. As you said, Sean. I think it's definitely changing.
Hmm.
Young persons, they're more looking on the logical side of things. What actually makes sense, right? Who is actually bringing out the best side of society, right? Versus what my grandparents were voting for, right? So they're definitely looking on things in a different light. Now, the next question that I want to ask, Rohan, right, is who are the major players in the agricultural sector locally? Who are the major players currently?
I think we need to be a little bit more specific. Major players in the agricultural sector.
Hold on. Rohan, you're a bit low.
I think you need to be a little bit more clear on what you are, very specific or precise as to what you're asking me about major players. What do you mean
Oh,
by major players?
okay. So, are there any companies out there that are basically focused on farming? Who are the main persons out there who are actually, just as how you have your farm, right? Are there any other persons out there who are actually doing this thing on a huge scale, and they are also recognized, right? Who are these persons?
You'd have to look into. I would be using all evening to say that to you. I mean, what you probably need to pay attention to is what aspect of agriculture you're talking about, because you have large animal farms, you have large egg farms, you have large crop farms. There's so many different farms to look at. I mean, and then from farming you have purveyors, and then I would think that persons who are selling food have some major play in agriculture as well. So, like sec- sector by sector, agriculture is a huge industry or a huge sector. Within that sector, you have subgroups that are huge as well, and then below them you're gonna have a lot of people as well. So to pinpoint on that, that's probably to take us another
Okay, okay, Rohan. Thank you so much. I want to ask you this questions. This question, we touched on this a bit when you were speaking, when I was doing your interview, um, and I know it can be a bit it can be a troublesome topic, but I really want to ask this question, right? How What is the difference, right, between farming now and farming back in Wapikil Philo? you know um is is there a reason why we moved away from the archaic methods of farming, and why do you think persons are still doing farming the archaic way? They're doing farming the old way. Why are persons still doing farming the old way and not stepping away and moving into the technology that we have today, right? And some persons might see you, do using your this level of technology, and they might look at you and might think that it is you being lazy, right? So you want an easier way through life, so using technology, but they're doing the hard work. They're plowing at the fork, they're using the hoe in the hot sun and all these things. What's happening, right? Why? Why is there a controversy between these persons? Because some persons look on those persons and say, okay, they are just doing the easier way, right? We are doing the original the hard way, right? They're just finding the easier way through this thing. But is there a reason why you are using modern methods? And do you think that persons should step away from the archaic way of doing farming and upgrade their methods in regards to farming? Do you think that if they upgrade their methods, do you think that farming will be saved in Jamaica? Do you think that that can save the life of farming in Jamaica? Right? What are your thoughts?
There's not much difference in how farming was done back then compared to now. Reason being, I would say lack of resources, lack of education, and lack of motivation. And also, if a farmer is looking at someone else and saying he's doing that because he's lazy, I mean, there's some merit in that as well, because I've paid attention to where I used to have people come and help me with machines, and everything has an easy way to do it, and then there's a more difficult way to do it. And if you understand the difference between the two, it can play a major role in your efficiency as well, right? As I said, a lot of people are ignorant, so even if someone comes and help them and they think that they're getting the easier way out, there is the easier way today and then the harder way 5 years down the line, because you might have soil erosion, you might have modern pests coming. There are a number of factors that can affect it. Um, but number one, the number one reason why I think farming is not developing is because of lack of education. Number two, lack of resources. And number three is lack of support or financial help, right? And why I think personally as a farmer, I don't think a lot, as I said to you, if you pay attention to the numbers of farmers or the people who have been farming, and it's very simple to look at it, because if you have a farmer from Waki or Waki Kill Phillip, I don't know which one it is, um, they they would have done farming to raise the standard of living for their family, and in that space and time, raising the standard of your family, allowing your children to get educated, having a tertiary level education, getting a job, and then they would then not have their children as much in the farm to understand farming, right? And then when those persons become adults and have children of their own, they then now become so far apart from their roots, is that the third generation doesn't even know anything about farming. You might be surprised to know that a farmer's grandson or granddaughter might think that a potato grows on a tree, So I think that creates the gap as well, as to why a lot of people would not get involved in farming. And as I said, there is no real motivation to get into farming. It's not like it's not like people appreciate seeing a man walking with a water boot or walking with a hoe on his shoulder versus a man wearing no. I'm not joking about it, because
It's true.
I understand that you can wear a nice shirt and go to your farm, but you might ruin it. The chances of ruining it is very high, right? So you're going to wear older clothes and more rugged things to the farm because it's a rugged occupation. It's not as attractive as going on the road and you see somebody have on a nice dress shirt, they have on a tie, they have on some nice gentleman shoes, some Oxford, probably have on some suede. And from the farm, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that a lot of people are paying attention to, and as I said, image is a huge factor, you know, huge factor.
um, thank you so much, Rohan. You know, it is true. You know, the image is a factor there. As you said just now, many persons, you know, they just see farming as just, you know, someone in a water boot and, you know, dirty and sweaty, and, you know, that's just all they see, right? But at the same time, you are the one that is going to ask that farmer for a piece of yam. You know, so you see the paradox there. You see the trouble that we are facing. You know, it's crazy. You know, so persons need to step away from ignorancy, right? Persons need to step away from the ignorance of the way they you know, of how they perceive farming, and take a look at into what it truly is and the beauty that farming lies within it. Now, Shawn, let us get some questions here for you. Jamaicans have you know, have long since lost confidence in the Jamaican justice system. What steps would you take personally to remedy this perceptional dilemma, right? The loss of confidence in the justice system, right? What steps would you take, right? If you could eradicate, or if you could actually fix this issue, right? What steps would you take personally to remedy this perceptional dilemma?
What step would I take to fix it? You know, honestly, I don't think I can fix it, right? What what I can suggest and what I would do is to first, and it's my hope to become a justice minister, right?
Yes.
It's my hope, right? But how I would target it is from the family perspective first and foremost, because it doesn't matter what resources you channel into fighting crime, right? Bringing justice. If the family structure is poor, which is breathing all of these people into the justice system, right? You're going to continue to have a problem, right? We would want to see a Jamaica where we have proper family structure, right? The youths are focused and driven. It will create less problem for the justice system, right? We're not saying that our system is perfect, but there are efforts made with the lack of resources available, right? There are efforts made in trying to bring forth justice in a very good way, but because we constantly have these people uh, disrupting the system, it's as if there is no effort made, right, in addressing these concerns. So, in all honesty, until Jamaica reaches a point where we start to go back to the base of the problem, right, which is the family structure, which is very poor, it's broken down, and it is a result of all of these things that we're now seeing in our society, right? And it doesn't matter as a government what resources they want to use, what aids or grant they can get to assist. If we don't work on the base, it makes no sense, right? It's just like building a house. I don't think you can build a house from the top down, right? You have to build it from the base up, right? So by you providing all of these things, right, without any proper base, it still doesn't make any sense,
You
right?
know, I'm Sean. You know, I know that you can answer this question well. There's a question in the comment section. Um, Catalia Hannah, right? She is asking, what is your idea of a proper family system?
All right, no problem answering that. Uh, no, I listened keenly to when Rohan was speaking about how he was brought up, right? And I took a lot of things from it, right? Having a proper family structure does not mean that you grow the child to become a doctor and then now you praise that child to say that is success, or you influence that child to go to a Monroe, Descartes, to Manchester and say, oh, that is successful, you're going to a good school, right? I am telling you the things that our parents now are focusing on within the family. You're focusing on stuff, right, to create an image, and the image is not it, right? It's the values that you teach your child, it's the values that you have within the home that is important, right, in having a well-founded society, right? So the reason why we're having an issue with our family structure is because we don't try to inculcate proper values to our children. Right? What we try to inculcate in them is for them to grow up and get rich and drive Benz and drive this and drive that. And that does not mean you have value. Because many people driving fancy cars, live in huge houses, but they lack value in society. They're still not role models. Some of our politicians, they're still not role models in our society, right? So when I say proper family structure, I mean one that the base of the family is built on having good moral values. That is what is important for our society to move forward, right? Parents coming together. You don't have to live together as parents to grow a child, right? But we realize that we have too many single parents out there, absentee fathers out there, right? Not playing an integral role in the life of the child. And Rohan, as he spoke about his father, basically what his father taught him is basically what he's living today, right? But when we have an absence in the family, either it be a mother or a father, the child lacks something because there is no mother who can father a child, and there is no father who can mother a child. I don't believe in that principle. You need both parents, right, to inculcate some value. Yes, you do have people who are successful by virtue of being single parent household, but if you should understand and go back to the base, these same people they lack something, and that thing that they lack is what allow them to be uneasy. Huh?
Wow, Shawn, and I think you also even answered the question that Catalia asked again. She is definitely, on the point of family, because she was saying that many kids are brought up well, but they are still out there in the road scamming and doing other crimes. She's saying that she thinks people lack self control and they are also easily led.
And again, I'm gonna say it goes back to the family. You have to be careful how what you teach your children, because what you teach them directly or indirectly is what exists in society today. So when you don't teach your child to have self-confidence, of course they're going to lack confidence. When you don't teach your children to have self-esteem, of course they're going to lack self-esteem. So everything that happens out there is a reflection of what happens within the family structure. No, I am not saying you don't have people who grow their children properly and they deviate. What I'm saying that value that you inculcate is going to come back at some point in time.
Yes.
It's going to come back at some point in time. And their conscience are not going to allow them to continue, knowing that this is not the way I was brought up.
Was brought up.
Yeah, so yeah,
All right, and Catalina, she said that I'll agree to disagree. All right.
that's fine.
All right. My question now is for Rohan, right? You said something in the interview in regards to walking versus, buying a car. You know, for the young persons out there, Rohan, right? How would you advise them in regards to, this thing called instant gratification? And what would you say about instant gratification, right, in regards to how it can hinder persons from really and truly reaching their goals, right? Persons want to buy a car, persons want to do this, but what are your thoughts?
I think it depends on the person's personality. I mean, when some people go broke, they're more motivated to make more, to do more. Some
Hold on,
people,
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I want you to repeat that for me. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me just say something. Um, Viewers, I want you to listen to to what Rohan is about to say. Okay, um, go ahead, Rohan.
I think it depends on the personality of the person, right? I mean, some people are motivated to do more when they go broke. Some people are motivated to to hold on to everything and keep building on it. I mean, you have people who they want to buy a nice car, and then that will motivate them to take care of the car and to earn more money to care for the car. I mean, it goes into the car, but I'm sure there is the possibility of having some excess that can go into other things. And then you have some persons who are more motivated on saving, right? And they want to put everything aside and they want to not enjoy some things right now and enjoy it later on. And as I said, I just think it's dependent on the person's personality because, I mean, a person with a car can drive to a opportunity faster than a person who walking, you know? So, I mean, it's perspective. I think it has a lot to do with perspective and your motives in life. I mean, yeah, it's just what you're motivated by and your perspective. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Rohan. I want to hear Sean's perspective, and then I'm gonna comment on it as well. Sean, let me hear your perspective on this instant gratification. How does it conflict with persons trying to accomplish in their goals, and do you think that persons can still accomplish their goals while still gratifying themselves, just as Rohan said? What are your thoughts?
All right. I always believe in looking on the long term effect of whatever you're doing. So if you're doing something that it only makes sense now, and you're only getting gratification from it now, but in the long run, a couple years down the line, you're not able to benefit from what you're doing, I would ask, what's the sense? For example, if every day you work, good, and you buy a Benz. Now remember that cars devalue by the year, right? One accident and it can be it. But guess what? A lot of people want to get caught up in the fame and the hype, which is for the now, right? And so on. But at the end of the day, couple years down the line, they are struck with a major ailment because of the short-term gratification of what they were doing before. They are not in a position now, right, to cater to what obtains now. What would be the sense in doing that? So what would be the sense now? Working for years, buying a Benz get right off or devalue. You're now ill. There was no savings, no investment, no nothing. What's the sense? Right? So I really and truly don't believe in the short-term gratification, right? Because it has no long-term benefit, right? Some person will look on farming for an example and say, sure, I'm not doing that because I can't get my hands dirty, I can't get this done, and whatever the case may be. It's all on a short-term basis, right? To suit the crowd. But guess what? The same person who endure all of those things that you're not, or you won't commit in doing, right? The same person later on down the line, driving the Benz, having the house, have their savings, right? Their insurance. Who's benefiting in the long run? So then I would ask the question, what sense does it make, right? To engage ourselves in short-term gratifications for Instagram likes and Facebook and all of these things. And a couple of years down the line, you're non-existent and nobody sees you because you have nothing to show. You have no investment, right? You're walking around, have nowhere to live, right? Setting up these GoFundMe because you're unable to cater to your health needs, right? So I would say invest in the long term, right? And by you investing in the long term, it might not make sense now, right? Investing in the long term, but trust me, later on down in life, you'll realize that your efforts was not in vain.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I agree with both of you, to be honest. My perspective is a bit mixed. It's something similar to Rohan, though. It's a bit mixed. Because, Sean, as you said, some persons, because they do not they do not delay the instant gratification, they end up crashing and burning. And that is definitely true. Um, but here's the question though. Um, should a person treat themselves? Like, can you treat yourself? And along your entrepreneurial journey, it's not to say that you are. I mean, it's some form of gratification, right? But it's not something that would possibly take you out of your way of accomplishing your goals. Do you think we can treat ourselves? Like for example, if I start a business, and Rohan, I'm gonna ask you to comment on this as well, right? You both should comment on this, right? I want you both to talk about this, right? So if I should start a business and the business is taking off, the business is booming, and I'm getting some awesome returns, and of course, I end up setting up like multiple streams of income, along with that business, right, on the side, just the same, right? Do you think a person can treat themselves, right? Do you think we should treat ourselves? Because they're working hard, right? I know many, the viewers right now, they'll be asking the same question, right? Should we treat ourselves, right? Should we buy a nice car? Should we um, go for that apartment? Because we know can afford it. Should we treat ourselves? That is my question. What is your perspective on that, and how is that different from that instant gratification of allowing you to go out of your way to not accomplish your goal? Let me start with Rohan first, and then I go to Shawn.
For me, it's a mixed feeling. I definitely think that if you are putting out your effort and you want, I wouldn't say I treat myself. I mean, if I want something or I feel the need for it, I will definitely get it. I mean, what's the point of having all these dead faces and nothing to enjoy in your present moment? I still agree with Shawn for investing for the long term, but in all honesty, I think you need to have a portfolio. And if you understand the concept of a portfolio, you will have slices or parts of the pie that you have allocations to, right? And I mean, it depends on how you're looking at things. As an entrepreneur, starting from zero, right? You never inherited anything, you're starting from zero. I mean, you probably don't want to show people everything that you have, but at some point, if you're growing the business, you have to partake in marketing, right? And What's better than marketing yourself? You understand? So, as a farmer, I'm not going to wear a dirty shirt with holes, come on interview. If I have the time to get ready, if I didn't have the time, I would be here in it just the same. What I'm really getting at is that things don't make me, right? I don't think the shirt looks good. I make the shirt look good. Is my perspective, right? And a lot of Shawn spoke about it. Having self confidence and having esteem is paramount. And treating yourself or getting yourself something nice. Well, yeah, say, brother. Yeah, have something nice, bro. What? Come on now. You have to. I mean, that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I would not see a donut and then see a oxtail and want the donuts. I mean, I want the oxtail, bro. It's just perspective.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you, Shawn. You wanna comment on that again? Do you wanna share, I don't know, another opinion on that? Other question?
Yes, when I say person should not get engulfed in like instant gratification, I don't mean you should be mean to yourself, you know. There's a difference, you know.
Yeah.
Because remember, right, if we don't take care of this, there is nothing to enjoy. Right? So when I say that, let me be a little bit more clear what I say. No, everybody should treat themselves. Even I do it. Right? So you can't get the dead paycheck and you just pay bills, and then it's a norm for you, right? It means that, and I'm not really saying you should do it, you know. But if, say, for example, you're working $20,000, right? If it me, you're going to hold the landlord $1,000 and go buy a burger for yourself once a month, what is landlord $1,000? No, but no, it's all in all honesty, right? A lot of people get they're so consumed with their day-to-day operation, right? To the point where they don't really focus on themselves. And that's where the problem is, right? A lot of people are suffering from stress, mental problems, all of these things, and they're earning the money. Why? Because they are not focusing on themselves, right? So when we talk about instant gratification, I simply mean that you should not put yourself in a position where you think of what you don't need. And there's a difference between the need and the want, right? That's what I'm talking about. So you don't put yourself in a position where you don't need something, but you just gonna take up your money and buy it, and it's
Your
not
basket.
necessary. Yeah, it's not necessary for you at that point in time, right? So nothing is wrong with treating oneself, right? Everybody should do it, right? And maybe as often as possible you should do it, right? Maybe if you don't have the money, it's a once a month thing for you and so on, but still do it. And again, enjoying yourself don't mean you need to go to tracks and records and spend $20,000 and say, yes, I treat myself, I can spend $20,000 myself. No. Take right by you taking it yourself. So maybe going to a little beach, a little river, but enjoy yourself, eat some fish, eat a piece of chicken, some simple stuff or enjoyment. So it's not about the money and the places you go and the things you can buy for yourself. That means treating yourself. No. It's a very simple things that you do that you can get enjoyment from.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the responses there.
Mhm.
We want to jump um, to another question here, right? Um, and this one would actually be for um, Rohan. What are the steps that a young person can take to acquire funding, right? Startup capital to um, achieve their agricultural pursuits. What advice can you give, right, to a young person who doesn't really have the capital, but they are interested in farming, right? I see Katela down there commenting like crazy. But yes, yes. So what are some of the steps that a young person can take, right, to accumulate funding, right, if they want to actually go about their agricultural pursuits?
Well, just not necessarily just for agriculture, is that you have to have a plan in place. Uh, in Jamaica, you're not necessarily going to get financing unless at a certain level, unless you have some security or you have a guarantor. So, uh, doing a plan, being realistic with yourself is very important. I mean, I know that yes, they're saying to think big and have great ideas, but you can't think big and have great ideas and start big. You have to start small if you don't have the resources. What I would say to a young person, if I had to redo some of the things that I did, having mentors, even though I think that's very difficult to come by, or having partners who can come in and be a shareholder in your business, or have a silent partner who will fund you if you can't access loans from commercial institutions. So there are very creative ways. I mean, you can have great ideas, start small, and then make sure it's scalable. When it's scalable, you can you can pitch it to people, get your family members interested. You can probably find friends who are interested in growing it with you. But the most important thing is to have a plan and be realistic about that plan. And when you speak to a financial person, you need to have an understanding of what finance is. And as an entrepreneur, that's very critical because not getting the proper amount or the proper structure of financing can be the downside to your idea or your venture, right? So, understanding the proper structure of financing that suits your endeavors is the best thing to do, and have a plan. And no plan is one, two, three, four, five. I mean, this year I had plan A right down to E, and I'm at E now, right? So, you just have to be realistic about yourself. If something doesn't work, you have a backup, you have, as I said, if life gives you lemons, you make
You
lemonade.
make lemonade.
Exactly. So think ahead, plan ahead, and create great relationships with persons who you know are in a similar category as you, and also persons above you, but still have associations with other persons who can bring you into perspective. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rohan. Um, so my lovely viewers, right, that is great advice, for persons out there who actually, you want to get into a particular business, but you do not know how to actually go about, um, you know funding that business, right? You can tap into and I think what Rohan was speaking about there is leverage. If you have persons around you who are also associated with that particular endeavor, right? You can work together, right? And you can tap into leverage to actually accomplish your goal, even if you don't have the capital, right? But you could also find persons who actually would fund you as an entrepreneur to accomplish your goals. So there's really no excuse, right? Nothing is impossible. Even if you don't have the capital, you can definitely go about getting startup ways of accomplishing your goals. Shawn, now I have a question for you, right? um in regards to persons now who are actually going into politics, some persons might say, and maybe even Rohan can probably share something on that. I'm not sure, but you know, but Shawn, seeing that you would know a lot in regards to that area, right? Do you think many persons are going into politics right now for the money, for the publicity? Um, uh, are they trying to really help their community, or are they actually going in it for the fame or the publicity or the money? What do you think? What's your perspective, and why do you think they are? Some of them are going in it for the money. Why?
All right. Well, I don't want to really speak for any of them, right? I really don't want to speak for politicians to get myself in problem, right? But
Yes.
I would really say their actions would suggest the reason why they went inside there, right? So if you went inside here to serve, obviously your action will state so, and if you went inside here for the benefit, right, and the money, your action will suggest so. So just look on Jamaican politics now, look on the actions of the politicians, and you will get the answer to you just ask, to the question you just asked, as to why they go into politics, right? But I would say that we need more persons with integrity, right? In different leadership positions. I think that's what we're lacking, right? We're too focused on the degree and the masters, we're too focused on these things, right? In putting people in leadership positions, right? And I don't think leadership has nothing to do with qualification, right? And that's the issue. So we're having a lot of these leaders, right, emerging, and because they are the brainchild of other people who might be in politics, they come with the same form of mentality, right? Of the grab and go, right? What I can get, right? The status, the fame. And you will have many persons who are business minded, but they use politics and so on to enhance their businesses,
Their
right? To
business.
get the popularity and so on. You know, everybody's going to want to buy at your supermarket because you are the minister of so and so, right? So most people use these things to get the publicity to do what they want to do. Because in all honesty, many politicians they have business outside of being in politics, and they have life outside of being in politics, but they use politics as a means of enhancing whatever they're doing, right? By virtue of the popularity, right? So in all honesty, I wouldn't really directly say to you that they go in there for the money. I wouldn't tell you that. But what the most I would say that their actions suggest why they went inside there. And if you can look at all
Reactions.
their actions, then you will know exactly why they went inside politics.
Oh my gosh, it's such a issue that we are facing today, because I've heard persons saying that, yo, right now, me never go back to college or whatever. Me just go into politics because I can make some money. Me can drive big car in no time. Is
Hmm.
what I say. So, I've heard persons talking that way, and it's troublesome because really and truly they going into politics with that mentality, just to, as you said, grab and grab for the grabbings, right? Just for the grabs, right? It's not going to benefit the country, and the country will go into a deeper hole than it's already in. You know, Rohan, do you want to share something on that?
Personally, I think we need to get it together. And just as Shawn mentioned earlier, is that our culture has a huge role in what motivates a lot of people. And as he said, a lot of people show their interest by their actions. And I think it's obvious that we're in a hole if you're looking at it from an economic perspective. I mean, this
Interesting.
it. I mean, it's just something that needs to be adjusted. I mean, it's like you're set up to fail, right? And the ones who drive really hard at winning usually win. That's a fact. And if you pay attention to the education system here, it's like you have, let's say you have 500 students across Jamaica. All of them are learning the same thing. None of them are then directed into something from an early stage that shows that this child is more proficient here or has more interests here. So, yes, you will lay the foundations for the essentials and the basics, but then where you see the child has an interest, you can develop on that, right? In developing on that, you can then have a dynamic, educated population, right? What we're having in Jamaica is a competitive population. You understand me? When you and I apply for a job that's being advertised, you might have a law degree, somebody has an accounting degree, but you're applying for the same job, right? And the job has nothing to do with law and nothing to do with accounting. And when you go into this job, you have to be retrained and brought into a different world to adjust, right? Nothing wrong with that because you have a different perspective coming on board. But it's not just one person in law and one person in accounting, it's hundreds of us applying for the same job.
My God.
You understand me? So, like, I mean, if you pay attention to university, I'm not knocking university. I went there and I use a lot of what I've learned. Well, some of what I learned to aid me. But if you have 200 students studying something and they have 4 years before they graduate, are there 200 jobs available after the 4 years? Highly unlikely, bruv. Highly unlikely.
So it's the
And
fittest.
is that's the way of the world. That's the way of the world, brother. Because it's it's structured that way by instincts and it plays out in every aspect of life. And what I would say to anybody is get real with yourself. Get real with yourself and see where you fit and then try and excel there. But there are not a lot of opportunities out there being handed out.
It's pretty it's pretty sad. And I just want to
Why is
ask,
it sad though?
take a look at this, Rohan. And Sean, I want to hear your perspective on this as well. When persons they graduate and they get a particular degree, and because of course the industry is so saturated, right? They can't find a job, and they have to end up at a call center, right? And they have the student loan to pay, and they took out all these things to just to pursue that degree, right? And at the same time they graduate and they can't get a job, right? What are your perspectives on that? you know that situation right there. I want to start off with Sean, you know because right now, Sean, you are a person that the focus is on education. And of course, in your field, Sean, what you're doing is very, very smart, because
Thank you.
in your field, you know not only are you excelling, Sean, in your field, but it is a field that you could definitely you can come out and achieve something, right? And seeing how you are performing so far, Sean, you are performing very well, and I know that you will definitely have something out there waiting for you. But what about those individuals going to school right now, right? Do you think there are certain degrees that really and truly, persons should don't even bother trying to study. What are your thoughts on that, bro? Um,
Ah, this question is always a question that many persons can't get the right answer for, right? I think it's our culture, right, for us to put our children, because honestly, some of what we're experiencing in society is as a result of our parents, right? The way in which they structure your life at an early age, right? No, I think it's a norm for parents to say, all right, if you don't go to university and study a specific degree, right, you're not successful. So people have it within them head, right? These younger folks, they have it within their heads that, okay, if I don't go to university, study law, study medicine, do nursing, I'm not successful, right? Now you have many persons with different skill set, right? That even though you might have a degree, these skills you can maximize on these skills. And trust me, it even work out better than just you having a degree sitting and walking up and down with. Right? So it is good to have the education, but I'm certain that you have many persons out there with various skills, right? That is very essential to our society that they can maximize on, right? And they earn from it to the point where they don't even remember that they need a degree, right? And as I said to you from the get go, my reason for doing a degree is not to earn money because many people out there with PhD are not earning cent, right? So if you're going to go and the sole basis of you getting educated is to get a good job, you can think twice, right? And based on where our society is heading, you'll realize that thousands of people graduating on a yearly basis, right? If you go to your graduation on a yearly basis, it's 3 graduations. One Friday, one Saturday, maybe one Sunday. And you
wow.
might have another 2. NCU. So where are all these students going
Oh
after they
God.
graduate?
Oh
Right? So it, so
Jesus.
it is really sad. And the reason why it don't have
Why?
to be sad, right? Not many persons are blessed with certain skills that you might have as an individual. You might be one out of many persons with this specific skill. Why you don't use your skill set? Right? Rohan went, he did his degree, but guess what? He has a love for farming. Right? When you look on the market, the economy, this is what he can use and make a life. So why sit down and walk up and down with degree, searching for jobs 9 to 5 in the office when you have a skill that can bring greater returns? Right? Education should actually help us to make certain decisions. Education is not for us to get a job. And we need to get out of that mentality, right? Or else we're going to walk up and down with these degree years on top of years, and we're going to die trying because we're not going to die with anything.
Whoa.
Only with the paper that we get from you and New Tech, right? So we have to be wise, right?
Uh,
Because even though I'm pursuing these things, I have my aspiration of going into business, starting my own business,
yes.
right? I don't believe in sitting down in an office from 9 to 5, get a paycheck at the end of the month, pay bills, it finish, and you continue the process. There need to be other investments, right? Because one hand cannot clap. So the 9 to 5 alone are going to work for you, right? If you really and truly want to make it, you have to have other investments, things that you're earning from, you're making money from, returns. Because you really can't make returns from 9 to 5, right? And this is the culture of our society, right? And I think our parents, right, those who we should look up to as mentors, are contributing to these things. Because if a child come to you and say, I'm interested in farming, you run them, oh, you're a croft, you idiot. You can't send a girl to school and you're going to farming. You have to go and be a doctor, a nurse, or a lawyer. And you realize that that child will become a doctor, struggle to survive with that job, become a lawyer, struggle to survive. And guess what? The same man at the farming, I earn way much more than these people. and their standard of living are way much better than these people. So we need to get out of these people mind, right? About education being the sole basis of success. It isn't.
Sean, I just want to ask you gentlemen, do you think that at this present moment in time, are there certain degrees that I don't want to term this in the wrong way, but I have to be careful how I say this. As one of my very good friend always say, whenever he's doing these type of things. But are there degrees that are inferior to some? Do you think that there are certain degrees that really and truly to do them nowadays doesn't make any sense? Do you think that there are certain degree? I don't want to come off the wrong way, right? But do you think that there are certain degrees right now that persons are doing that? It just don't make any sense. You know, of course, to be a lawyer, right? You have to do a degree, and that is a very good degree to do, right? To be a doctor, that's a very good degree to do. But do you think some of the other degrees that we're seeing, right? Do you think some of these degrees they make sense? I hope this didn't come up the wrong way, viewers. I hope, but it's a very serious question, and there's a reason why I asked, and it's something that I've seen, persons doing certain degrees, and eventually. But what are your thoughts, gentlemen? Who wanna go first?
Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that you have degrees that are inferior to other degrees. Right? Because remember, as I said to you, it's not about the piece of paper stating that you get the degree. Is what you learn and contribute to the society, right? Is way much important than just the degree itself. But now, in relation to our society, which is Jamaica, right, we have to understand that we have to focus on the markets that we have locally before we make certain decisions in studying. No,
Yes.
I used to have the same problem. Because when I have some friends, when they told me that they went to UWI to do zoology and botany and marine biology, I always ask myself the question, to do what? Right? To come back and teach science in high school. Right? Because that's the only thing they can do, because there's really and truly there's no market
No market.
in Jamaica for some of these things. Right? So we need to focus on the markets that we have. Or if you can do the degree and build a market from that, create something from that, fine. At least you bring more hope to Jamaica, right? So other persons down the line will want to do it because you started something which they can build on, right? But I don't believe in just applying to university, do a degree, just to say you went to a university and did a degree. It goes way beyond that. You should be able to contribute meaningfully to the society, as well as it should be something that you love, right? And you really appreciate doing. So I wouldn't say the degree itself is not necessary or it's inferior. Is what you get from the degree is important, right? But again, if you are looking on the earning aspect of it, you have to focus on the market or the markets that are available, right, to cater to these things that you're studying.
Well, Sean, what about in regards to, like, getting a job, right? You get that degree, and the person that is focusing on just getting a job, you know, all right. I won't even, I don't think I should call it any degrees, but what about certain degrees that you know for a fact that there is no market in Jamaica, right? There's a lack of that. That industry is not really built up in Jamaica, yet persons still go under the degree.
Uh,
What do you think? What are they thinking?
right. Well, I can speak because I have interviewed numerous persons who are now employed where I'm working, right? That trust me, when you look on the background that they're coming from, you have people now working in sales, law degree, social work, and you name it. What they're doing sales, right? And they're doing it not because they love it, but they're doing it because it's something that is readily available to them. No, even when it's not within the prescribed area that they study. So we realize now that it is now affecting the job market, where we have many people with various degrees that has nothing to do with the area working. So because of that, now you realize that they don't have the love for what they're doing, and because they don't have the love, they give a no cares form of attitude towards the job. Them come late, them drag themselves because this is not their area. They're just doing it for the little salary at the end of the month, right? So I would suggest that people focus on what they love, right? Something that they see themselves doing, right? Without any hesitation. These are the things that the parents, right, that are nurturing these people who are going out into university and so on, should inculcate in them, right? Focus on things that you love as well as things that we have market for. And if you can afford to go abroad, well, go abroad and do it where the market is, right? But don't do it in Jamaica and there is no market for it in Jamaica. And then you walk up and down and do other odd jobs that you're not comfortable doing. And you go there and stress out the people because you have some of them who stress me out every day, right? I am still in my position helping them to find their purpose, right? I might sometimes I have to say to some of them that I don't really believe that this is where you belong, right? I think somewhere else would be better for you. And interestingly, you had this young lady who we employed, right? And she was on probation, and I didn't allow her to finish the probation. She did 2 months out of the three, and I said to her that I really don't think this is your place, right? And I have a chat with her, and she was telling me about she loved craft and um dressmaking and so on, and she showed me some stuff that she designed, and I was saying, but hold on, but that is you. So
Yeah.
what are you doing here? And I said to her, you know what? We're not going to keep you here. We're going to send you to do what we know you can do. And trust me, I am so proud of that young lady today. She have her online clothing line, right? And she's doing so well in her business. And when she called me the other day, she told me thanks. Because if I had kept her there, I would be in problems today because she would be one of the employees that I had serious problems with, right? So we have to look on these things. People need to chase what they love and not the monetary aspect of it. I think
Sean,
I've said enough.
I love how you spoke just now, and you can see the diplomatic side of you can see the diplomat. I like how you spoke just now, and the way you handled that situation, right? It's not just letting go of the person in terms of just firing the person, but you are encouraging that person and directing that person and letting them know that, hey, you know tap into what you love. Go after your dreams, go after your goals. And right now, see, that person has taken your advice and they are doing pretty well. I like that. Rohan, do you have any thing to share in regards to what we were discussing in regards to the degrees and so forth, right?
I think if they offer degrees, there must be a market for it. I would. I mean,
Oh my god.
it's a trade, It's a trade taking place, and if you decide to
Oh,
buy, you buy. Something is being sold. So they have a saying. There's either Shawn probably knows about this. It's either sell or be sold. So you just you just have to find what suits you. I mean, as I said to you, I wouldn't say to a person having a degree is going to make you a better person. It's not going to ensure that you get a job. And I think that's that's something that people need to really understand before they go to school. Because while I was at school in the 20th century, one of my lecturers, I was in class one day and something happened, and she said to me that I should cut my hair or I wouldn't be able to do something. And I said to her, if you and I are to reason about this, you know that that doesn't make any sense, right? And then, so I said to her, why would you want me to cut my hair? And she says, because you're not going to get a job. So I responded to her, and I sat there for a little while, because I process things before I talk, and I don't
Yes.
talk very quickly, so I process things properly.
Yes.
So I said to her, are you going to give me a job?
Oh my god.
She can't respond because she's an employee. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So if, and you need to be, and this is, I keep hitting, and I've been hitting at this every time when I speak, you need to be real with yourself. All right.
Real with yourself.
You understand? If I know what I am about, nobody can convince me otherwise. You might say I'm hard or whatever because I still have my hair right now and I'm not in a bad position. I might have frustrating times, but I'm not in a bad position. So the reality of it is that people taking advice from people who them nothing are taking advice from.
Wow.
And it can be your parents, and it's very hard to swallow that pill. Sometimes your parents are not the best persons to communicate with, and it's a fact. And you need to get real with that, because if I could go back through university, I would want to meet as many people as I could. But because you're so focused on wanting the degree and wanting to pass and not wanting to fail, is that you get so blindsided by that the true experience of what a university is. You don't get to experience it, because you don't have, and it's a culture thing that we have down here. I mean, med students sit down by themselves, business students sit down by themselves, engineer students sit down by themselves.
That's true.
So
That's
it's
true.
so
Yeah.
it's so clannish. It's so clannish,
Yeah.
right? And it's same thing with the culture of JLP, PNP. It plays out in everything,
My
brother.
gosh.
It's the culture, and you can't run away from it. You have to embrace it, right? Thank God for social media and access to phones, that someone's perspective can be widened or opened to know that, what, I'll be honest with you, now that some degrees that are being offered are outdated, because some people have a computer program that is better than you doing the job,
My gosh.
and it's a fact, so
It's a
you
hard
need,
pill to swallow.
you still have to swallow or choke.
Mm.
So, and that's where it's at. And
Man.
I think also that a lot of people have hope, right? And they're saying, so I study this and I take the student loan. I'm hope so I get a job, and I hope this and I hope that. Bro, that not going anywhere. That not going anywhere. And especially in 2020, because what coronavirus has taught us in Jamaica is that you're almost close to irrelevant except our beach.
My gosh.
You're almost irrelevant except you have a beach. You have some water and some coastline where people want to come walk up and down upon.
Oh my
So
gosh.
almost that irrelevant, brother. So, and we're talking about a country with population in it. So as I said, let's get as close to being real as possible. And I'm sure a lot more better decisions will be made and a lot more futuristic decisions will be made. I mean, we've been talking about Benz and some of the Benz them nice, the
Yeah,
Porsche them
man.
nice, the
Be my
Beamer
them,
them
Yeah,
nice,
man.
18-inch rims on it nice.
Me, I
Till you
tell
lick up a
you.
toll. Understand? When you lick up a toll, you realize, say, oh, it
You
not
mash
so
up.
nice because you have yeah, we are ahead of our time with the things that we have here materialistically
Yes.
because our roads, we don't have the infrastructure for some of the things that we have. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have nice things here, but I mean, if you're going to be driving down the road and then you're going 80 kilometers and you see a pothole down the road and you come to a dead zero. I mean, you know what I pay attention to at a stoplight, brother? Let's even think about a stoplight on the amount of stoplights that you experience from Ligani to Papine. If you ever take out a stopwatch and every time you buck up on a red light, you click that on and off, you realize how much of your life you spend in traffic, brother.
Yeah, that's true.
Driving your nice
Yeah,
car.
that's true.
Right? So those are things that I look at. So I want a great standard of living. I don't want to be in a facade. I don't want to be in a facade at all. That's fine. Let's do the Bushman thing.
Do the Bushman thing.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's Rohan speaking for you people. um, you know, um, standard of living, right? Rohan, um, how do you really classify true living, right? A person that is truly living, right? Many persons believe that, hey, me have to have the big mansion, me have to have the big car, and I'm living. But what do you classify as truly living, right? What do you classify as having a quality life? Than just a life filled with the quantity, right, of things. What is a quality life defined as? And I think Shawn, he shed some light on that, but I think we can go a bit deeper. What do you say, Shawn?
Well, as I said to you, quality life don't mean money, right? Even though it's good to have. Quality life don't mean big house, even though it's good to have. Nice car, even though it's good to have. A quality life mean a happy life.
Happy life.
A happy life. Right? And many people today they have all they can achieve. But guess what? They don't have a happy life.
Oh my.
And a unhappy life decreases your standard of living. Many people won't
Mhm.
agree, right? But what's the sense of having all of these things, but you cannot enjoy them,
You can't
right?
sleep at night.
Right? You can't sleep at nights, right? You're spending thousands of dollars on health because you stress out yourself and you mash up yourself to get all of these things that you now have. But what use does it have to you at this point in time? So we need to get real, as what Rohan says, right? Do the things that makes us happy and we will live longer, less disease, eat healthy, right? Go enjoy yourself, right? And we'll be happy. Trust me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, and I will I will just share Rohan's part and say, do the Bushman thing. I would just say, do the Bushman thing.
Bushman thing.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
do the
man.
Bushman thing.
Thing.
It's very serious. Many persons, we focus on the wrong things in life, and we forget that happiness is paramount, right? In us having that quality life that we need, you know. So we need to get it right. We need to be real, with ourselves. I want to ask this question before I do one more giveaway, before I do the last giveaway, that is, because we're going to be ending the program shortly, right? I just want to ask this question: if you received $1 million, a million US dollars, right? Um, if you receive $1 million, million US dollars right now, what would you do? How would you invest that money? What would you do? And this answer is mostly for the viewers, right? For those persons out there, weird with their minds stuck in the gutter, right? Of just thinking narrow, right? I want you guys to share with us, right? If you should get a million US dollars right now, right? How would you go about spending that money? And Rohan, I want to hear from you, right? I want to hear from you first, right? How how would you go about spending that money? What would you do? What are the first things that you would do, right, with that sum of money?
The first thing I would do if I came across $1 million US.
That's a lot of money.
In perspective, in
Yeah.
perspective, in perspective, right? Uh, if I came across $1 million US, I definitely would consult with persons who have millions of US. That's the first thing I would do.
you know, I love that. I love that. Um, I love that because it seems that this is something that's foreign to you because you never had this before. So you'd want to consult someone who already has that amount of money, and they're doing things with these amount of or with this type of money, right? So you're saying that you want to consult those persons
Yeah,
who are,
and why I would do that? I would not want to do it for free. I would use a percentage of that money and invite them out on my bill, not
yes,
asking for any free advice or anything. I just want real advice
real advice.
because sometimes you get halfway advice. And as I said, having $1 million US is just in perspective. I mean, we're in Jamaica where $1 million US is valued at a lot of money. If you're living in another country or in even a state, $1 million US is not a lot of money, right? So it's really just coming into perspective and knowing what you want that $1 million US to do for you, and you'd want to turn that money the best way you can. I mean, if you are a person, depending on your age, you'd want to assess, am I a risk taker? Am I a conservative person? Am I a moderate person? Uh, if I lost all of this money, would I be less of the person that I am? Would I be considered an idiot? Would I feel away? Those are things that you need to ask yourself, because some people, when they amass a certain amount of money, because they're not used to losing, if they lose that money, they might commit suicide, you know? And for me, as I said, $1 million US is in perspective. You understand? I would probably buy a larger farm, or I probably would lease a larger farm. I would then probably go into, because I understand what I am doing, I can scale what I am doing. So having a
Yes.
larger farm and using that million, that's why I said I would consult with somebody who has that experience, and then I would assess if what they're saying to me adds more value than what I can do, because I know what I can do. So I know how to spend a million US already. So it wouldn't puzzle me to invest a million US. I know exactly where to put it. I even
Yes.
know how much water it would get me.
All right, all right, Rohan. Thank you so much for your input, my brother. You know that's been real. You know, real talk coming from Rohan there. Shawn, what about you? You know, you
It,
should.
it, it's interesting, you know. I was listening to him, but I kind of have the same mentality in relation to what he says, right? There is no need to win $1 million and ask broke people advice on how to utilize that $1 million. You have to ask people who are they are billionaires. They have more money than what you have,
Yeah.
right? And seek because the thing is, you know, is what once you have that $1 million in hand, all the needs will start surface itself. Not the wants, you know, the needs. Sorry. No, not the
The other way around.
other way around. The
Yeah,
wants.
man, I get you. I get you, bro.
Right. So you get $1 million. Oh, I need a car. I get $1 million. Oh, I need to go so and so. I need to do so and so. And you start to pose yourself with all the different wants. But like seeking proper guidance, right, from persons who are way above you in terms of money, right? To seek advice as to how best you can allocate that money in order to still remain in a stable position a couple of years down the line. Because you can lose $1 million in one day.
In one day.
In one day, right? So you would want to ensure you get proper guidance as to how you can invest, right? And it's not all investments are good investment for you. Because you might invest the entire $1 million into something and it crash and you end up losing same way, right? So you have to speak to people who are way much more experienced and persons who have failed before they become successful.
That's true.
Those are the people you want to hear from, right? To know how to go about utilizing that money.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your inputs so far. I just want to ask one final question for our giveaway, right? Let me see if I could. Okay, so this question is about Rohan Roberts. What high school did Rohan Roberts attend? What is the high school that he attended? Let me see if the viewers, if you were paying attention, if you were listening, if you remember when Rohan was speaking, right? What high school did he attend? And I might be generous and give away extra $200 credit, right? But this one is $500. If you guys get this one right, it's $500. Okay. So, which high school did he attend? Right? Which high school did Rohan attend? Let me see who is going to answer that question. And the next question will be in what in what year did Shawn Stultz receive receive his nominee for the Prime Minister Youth Award. What year did Shawn receive the nominee for the Prime Minister's Youth Award? What year? Whoa, Tropic said the Carthage College. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, that is that Rohan, is that's correct, right?
It is.
That is correct. Whoa, whoa. Aquino got that correct? Hold on. Who is feeding them information? What's going on? All right. So Aquino, you won $200 in credit, and Tropics, you won $500 in credit. So, viewers, persons who actually took part in this giveaway, please DM me on Instagram, right, DrFX.JA, right, so I can get your contact details and just transfer over the credit. Okay. Thank you so much for participating, guys. Right. And I just want to, as we close out this program, I just want to ask, these lovely gentlemen, you know, what is your last, last word of advice? What would you, what would you say to the viewers out there, right? What is your your last say, right, in concluding this session, right, this interview, this discussion? What is your last piece for the viewers out there?
Be real with yourself.
Like Shawn wanted to say that. Rohan says, be real with yourself. You know, this person is saying DC. I'm sorry, Leonie, you are actually late. Someone actually got the answer already. The Cottage College. All right, someone got the answer already. But Rohan, he says, be real with yourself. You know, so my lovely viewers, you have heard tonight. You have heard, and you understand exactly why he said that. You know why he said, be real with yourself. What about you, Shawn?
You don't need a lecture. Be real with yourself and live.
Don't need a lecture.
Yeah.
Be real with yourself. So, we all can agree that we need to be real with ourselves. I just want to thank you both for coming on this program, right? It's an initiative, right, where we just want to get information out there, so persons can actually, see that there are ways, there are avenues, there are opportunities out there, there are means, to us actually being successful. Right, we don't have to give up. We don't have to throw in the towel. We don't have to stick to one thing. Right, we don't have to be mediocre, right? Because neither you gentlemen gentlemen are mediocre. The first thing that Rohan said to me when I was talking to him the other night, he was saying something to me about no mediocre thing. You see me? So no mediocre thing. And you both, you have excelled in your area of expertise, and you guys are doing pretty well. And I just want to congratulate both of you in your future endeavors. And I hope that one day when Shawn becomes the prime minister, and Rohan becomes agricultural minister, that I can say that I had them on my program once. I'll be proud to say that I had them on my program once. Gentlemen, it was a lovely evening, and I know we might have went over time. I must apologize. But it was indeed a very good session. All right. So I hope that you enjoy the remainder of your night. Right, and I'll speak to you guys soon. All right. Thank you so much for coming out.
Good, good.
There you have it, gentle people, young but conscious. If you like this program, if you like this initiative, comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you on the next episode where we will be having some more interesting guests. See you next time. I'm out.